The Tesla Model 3 and maintenance. Is it as virtually non-existent as they say? Hello YouTube world, and hello all you Tesla Model 3 fans. Tesla Model 3 and maintenance. That tends to be a big question I get from a lot of people asking about the car is what kind of maintenance does this car have? And really what it comes down to, it's not nearly as extensive as you would get from a regular internal combustion engine, or otherwise known as an ICE car. So really you want to start off with, what does Tesla recommend when it comes to maintenance in the Tesla Model 3? Well, taking a look at the onboard owner's manual, there's a maintenance schedule that they actually have in here, and there are 4 different categories that they highlight or touch on. First one is called service intervals. The next one is daily checks. The other one is monthly checks, and then it's fluid replacement intervals, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So in that first subcategory of service intervals, in a nutshell, basically what it's saying is to rotate your tires every 6,250 miles. And that's it. That's pretty much that first subcategory in a nutshell. Okay, then you go into the daily checks. And this is just one of those things where it's something they recommend, but I mean, who's going to do this on a daily basis? Okay, so first of all, check the battery's charge level. Yes, we do that every day. That's common practice. That's not a big deal. The next one is check the condition and pressure of each tires. All right. Do people do that? I guess maybe hardcore people, but not necessarily everybody goes around and checks their tires every morning to see that they're fine. You do have, within the menu here, within the touch screen, you can click on here, and I'll show you how to do that, where you can check the PSI of your tires. It's very easy, so that might be something you could do every day, maybe when you get in the car. All right. They also have a subcategory or a link that you can click on for tire care and maintenance. All right, so then check all exterior lights, horn, turn signals, and wipers, and make sure all the washers are working. All right, again, are you going to check that every day? No, but most likely they are working just fine. Maybe do that every once in a while, but I don't think it's something you'd want to do every day. Check the operation of the seatbelts. Look for abnormal fluid deposits underneath the Model 3 that might indicate a leak. And it also goes into saying that it's normal for a small pool of water to form caused by the air conditioning system's dehumidifying process. So if you see a little puddle of water after you use the air conditioning, that's not a big deal, but check for other fluids, which again is nothing uncommon. If you see a weird puddle of fluid underneath the car, you're going to do that for any car and have it checked out. Okay, so we just looked at the daily checks, which again, pretty common stuff, not a big deal there. Monthly checks, that's the third subcategory I was talking about here. So check the mileage to determine if the tires need to be rotated. So once again, they're just saying, hey, just rotate your tires every 6,250 miles. So they're kind of just saying do that again, just check that. Check the windshield washer fluid and top off if necessary. And then it says topping up washer fluid. So it gives you instructions on how to do that. Check the air conditioning system. Make sure it's working properly. And then of course it goes see climate controls, and it'll basically give you a tutorial on how to use the climate control system. So that's the monthly checks. So things get a little bit more complicated with this fourth category, and that's the fluid replacement intervals. And it starts off by saying do not change or top up the battery coolant or brake fluid. Tesla service technicians replace fluids at the regularly scheduled service intervals, which are brake fluid every 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever comes first. And the battery coolant, and that's every 4 years or 50,000 miles, whichever comes first. And then of course it has a note that says any damage caused by opening the battery coolant reservoir is excluded from the warranty. That's common sense. But another note, speaking of the warranty, another note that I would like to mention is that it is not required by Tesla that you do these things. That will not void your warranty. It's only recommended. There is a lot of debate out there as far as how often you should drain and replace your brake fluid. Now, as I mentioned, Tesla recommends that you do that every 2 years or every 25,000 miles, whichever comes first. But there are people out there who say that is excessive. Now, it might be worth mentioning that I did own a Nissan Leaf for about 5 years. And within that 5 years, I never took it in for any maintenance whatsoever. The only thing I did was have the tires rotated, and when I needed new tires, I got new tires. And that was it. I never had the brake fluid drained and replaced in those 5 years. And some people may say that was a mistake, but I never had a problem with the brakes. And in fact, in all the years of owning cars, I've never had problems with the brakes and never had the brake fluid drained and replaced. Again, is that a foolish mistake? It could be. But as I mentioned, I've never had problems with brakes before. However, now that I have a sophisticated car like that of the Tesla Model 3, I want to make sure I give it the right maintenance and take care of it. So when it comes to the battery coolant, I'm not messing around with that. Tesla recommends that I have it drained and replaced every 4 years. And that is what I'm going to do. I am not messing with the battery. It's a very important part of the car. If Tesla recommends I do it every 2 years, I'm doing it every 2 years. If they recommend I do it every month, I'm doing it every month. But that all being said, all right, they recommend every 4 years. So I thought to myself, if people are saying that every 2 years to flush the brake fluid and replace it is excessive, well then what would an expert say? So what I did is I called a local car repair place that does a lot of brake work. And they're actually a national chain. So I asked them, I said, could you take my Tesla Model 3 and drain the brake fluid and replace it? And he said no. And I asked him why. And this is where I have to kind of look at my notes. Now, kind of a side note, he did tell me that he is very interested in Teslas. And in fact, what he did in his research is he did talk to a certified Tesla technician and wanted to get as much information as he could about the car. All right, so it wasn't just the brakes, but the car in general. And what he found and what he discovered is that his shop and any shop in town is not equipped to work on Teslas. And he said that, I said, well, you're just draining the fluid and you're putting it back in. He says, it's more complicated than that. And again, I'm not an expert here, and I'm going off of what he told me and what the service technician, the Tesla service technician told him. And he said that when you drain the fluid, it doesn't all come out, and that you need this Tesla computer software linking to make sure it all comes out and that it's done properly. And since he's not set up for that, he didn't feel comfortable doing the brake fluid flush for me and then replacing it. I had to respect that. I mean, why would he turn down a job if he was actually capable of doing it or thought he could do it? When he wanted to make sure that I was getting the right kind of service. I had to respect that. And again, what the Tesla service guy was saying to him may have been a load of crap to make sure that everybody goes into Tesla. I don't know. You know, I'm not the expert, but I'm going based off of what I was told from that technician. So then I asked him, okay, well, what about this 2-year recommendation? And of course, he recommends that, right? But I said, there are a lot of people who debate that that may be excessive. And he said, it can be. He says, but in all actuality, every 3 to 5 years, you should be fine. So then I asked him, all right, so then every 4 years, would that be a good time to do it? Maybe with the battery coolant? And he said, yeah, that would be perfect. I didn't want to stop there, so I took it one more step, and that was to call a Tesla service center, and I wanted to see what they thought. So I asked them, what do you recommend? And of course, no surprise, they said after 2 years or 25,000 miles, whichever comes first, to take it into a Tesla service center for regular maintenance. And I said, well, what would that first one be after the 2 years or 25,000 miles? And after they pretty much listed everything off for me, I was pretty much looking at the same list for the most part of the Tesla Model S rear-wheel drive, or really even the Tesla Model X, including the key fob, which, as you know, up until recently, there wasn't even a key fob for the Tesla Model 3. And of course, I asked the price, and what you know, $725, which is indeed the same price as the Tesla Model S and the Model X 2-year service or maintenance, part of their maintenance schedule. And then, of course, you go into the 4th year, they listed off the same things, and sure enough, same price, $840, which does, of course, include the flushing of the battery coolant battery coolant and replacement of it. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, based on at least the service center I called, they were just going off the Tesla Model S and X maintenance schedule for 2 and 4 years and going off of the same pricing. So then I thought to myself, why pay $750 to have the brake fluid flushed and replaced, which is really the main job that needed to be done, and instead have them both done at the same time after 4 years and pay $850. Now that price may be adjusted, but you figure they're doing the battery coolant and the brake fluid both for $850. And if 2 years is excessive, then why not wait 4 years and then pay $850 after 4 years? So there's my plan. I'm expecting that every 4 years to take it into a Tesla service center and pay about $850 to have the battery coolant flushed and replaced, and then on top of that to also have the brake fluid flushed and replaced. Anything beyond that, as far as Tesla service centers are concerned, would only be if I have some kind of problem with the car itself. And anything in between that or before that, of course, you've got the wiper fluid, making sure that that's topped off, making sure the windshield wipers work, making sure the AC works, all those other little things, the cabin filter, making sure that that gets replaced on a regular basis as well. But other than that, that is my plan every 4 years to take it into a Tesla service center. So I'd be curious to know what you think. If you already own a Tesla Model 3, what is your plan when it comes to the maintenance? Have you already started the maintenance plan? Are you planning on doing it every 2 years? Are you planning on doing it every 4 years? Are you maybe going to plan to not take it in at all? I know that there are some people that actually have Teslas in general that have never even taken it in for any kind of service, and the car still works great. So I guess it just depends on who you are and just how much care you want to give your car. If you have a Tesla Model 3 on the way, what is your plan with maintenance? Have you even thought about it? Kind of interesting. Not a lot of people really think about the maintenance in general when they have a really awesome car heading their way. But kind of interesting news too about that is, if you have it on the way, if you're still on the fence, keep in mind that Elon Musk made an announcement not too long ago that if you order your Tesla Model 3 before November 30th, you will get it delivered and in your garage before December 31st, so you can take full advantage of that federal tax rebate. So that's something to think about here if you're still on the fence, is that you can still get it to your garage before December 31st to take full advantage of that federal tax rebate. So certainly some good news there, and hopefully he can deliver on that promise. That all being said, if you are still thinking about or planning on ordering a Tesla Model 3 before the end of the month or in general, be sure to use my referral code, because one of the cool things is you can get 6 months of free supercharging if you do that. Now, of course, I'll be sure to post that in the description here below, so you can just click directly to it as you're ordering your car. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you found the information in this to be useful, I do plan on doing more videos in the future that should hopefully be helpful down the line here. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.